her, she gonna start feeling some kind of way. She gonna hang you from the chandelier, and they gonna do this, that, and nothing. You gotta pay some bills. You gotta swallow some stuff when your boss holler at you.
Hello, everyone out there. My name is Tatiana Santoyo. Thank you for joining us, Texas Prisons Alliance podcast. This episode is called The Hidden Sentence, or as Ms. Sheila, our special guest, Ms. Sheila Bruno would say, the second sentence. This is life after prison with PICS, and PICS is Post Incarceration Syndrome. I found Ms. Sheila Bruno on TikTok, who has a very big following called Wife After Prison. And it caught my attention because I also have a loved one who is behind the walls, and I am always 10 steps ahead of the game. And it was very, very interesting. And the very first time that I had ever heard of PICS was from Ms. Sheila Bruno. And Ms. Sheila Bruno, thank you so much for joining us here today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
First and foremost, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for stopping by my feed when you saw me on TikTok. Again, my name is Sheila Bruno. I am the founder of Wife After Prison. I am an author, a speaker, PICS informed, trauma informed, as well as a reentry coach. This journey started for me in 2016. I went publicly in 2018. I was married to someone who was incarcerated for 28 years. We reconnected after he had been out of prison 4 years. We reconnected after 38 years. Kevin and I dated in high school. He is an amazing human being. Unfortunately, there are some issues after prison that it's widely experienced, and it's deeply misunderstood, and it's rarely named. But when it landed in my household, and I was like, nobody's talking about how our loved ones are coming home from prison, then this started a mission for me. It's not only professionally, it's very personal. And, I created what I needed. I created this platform for individuals such as yourself, such as your loved one who is currently incarcerated, and so many other people, millions of people who are seeing their loved ones come home different, come home changed, but they don't have the language to interpret the behavior. And so that's what my message does. It interprets behavior so that shame falls off, families reunite or stay connected because they have this shared language, right? So that's what I do. Someone told me once before, they said, you the trauma translator of the trauma. And I took that name and said, yeah, I guess so. I am translating the trauma that comes with a prison sentence. Not only how it affects the loved ones who are coming home, but how it affects the whole family. No one is exempted from this.
Definitely. So today we'll be talking about post-incarceration syndrome, also known as PICS. Mm-hmm. What is post-incarceration syndrome? Sorry about that.
Yeah. So post-incarceration syndrome, and this is my style of teaching. I teach in such a simplistic manner so that anybody could understand. So post-incarceration syndrome is a set of survival adaptations that individuals that they were conditioned to, they were trained to, because they needed these adaptations to survive prison. But when they come home, they do not fall off. So it's the psychological, the behavior, and the social impact of long-term imprisonment that follows a person home. Never thought about that, right? Thinking that our loved ones who are now in prison, when they come home, they're going to just be fine. But you have lived in this environment for so long, in a controlled environment for so long, and we have this mindset that when they come home, this 20, 30 year, adaptation is just going to fall off, and it's not happening, right? And the thing about it is, individuals who are coming home, they realize something, but they can't put their finger on it. Right? So that's why if you go onto my TikTok page, you'll see the aha. Oh, that's what that is. Or thank you for clarity. Right? Because they don't know the language. They know the behavior, but they don't know the language. And so for many of them, they come home and they suffer in silence because they don't want nobody to know, man, I'm tripping a little bit. Right? I can't tell nobody I'm tripping because I already got this jacket on my back because they labeled me an ex-felon. Now you're talking about I'm an ex-felon with some issues. But when you give them the language and you help them to understand nothing's wrong with you, because a lot of times they think something's wrong with me. No, nothing's wrong with you. It's what happened to you. Right? And anything that was trained, anything was learned, can be retrained and relearned. And that's where interpretation comes in at. Yeah.
Okay. Question, how is PICS different from PTSD?
I'm glad you asked. Because that there's this misconception that, oh, that's just PTSD. Like a lady told me one time, I'm new to this. I was green. My husband and me was living in here like cellmates. So I'm attending all of the conferences, just saying, and one lady told me one time, she said, oh, that's just PTSD. I said, wait a minute, you can't write my story for me. I know it has to be different. So the difference is PTSD is it focuses on a traumatic event, sometimes a single traumatic event, right? With a clear before and after. Before the car crash, I felt safe driving. Afterwards, I don't. Before the assault, I felt comfortable walking through the neighborhood. Afterwards, I don't. But PICS stems from a long-term exposure to institutionalization, social sensory deprivation, antisocial. So it's layered. Although there are some of the symptoms of PTSD is layered in PICS. We're talking about the nightmares, the panic attacks, hypervigilance. See, these are both PTSD and PICS symptoms. But when you start talking about institutionalization, when you start talking about social sensory deprivation, being cut off from normal sights and sounds and social interaction, that's the whole nother beast. That's a whole nother beast. Social sensory deprivation, when you come home and you don't even feel comfortable with your family. Social sensory deprivation, when you go to the grocery store and you have a meltdown in the grocery store because of choices, right? Social sensory deprivation, whereas this lady reached out to me on TikTok and she said, I planned a coming home party, dinner party for my husband. And midway through, he said, I got to get out of here. He said, I'm overwhelmed. I'm having anxiety. And she didn't understand. She was like, it's family and friends. I said, no. You got to understand, that's a nervous system that's saying this is too much too soon. That was too much stimulation for him. Right? On top of that, in prison, the hypervigilance, right? You got your head on the swivel because you want to make sure you're safe. Ain't nobody coming up on me or any of that. So you live in a constant state of hypervigilance. So when you come home, just because you come out of that gate, your head is still on a swivel, right? And this is a thing where relationships, right? And women get mad at me, and I'm okay with that, because you feel like because you stayed, because you waited, because you put money on them books, he is supposed to function normally just because you waited. You don't understand that this man's whole nervous system has been rewired. You don't even understand that the impact of incarceration, how it has affected his brain. Come on now, right? It took me some time to learn this. Was I angry at Kevin in the beginning? Absolutely I was. How dare you bring this up in here? Right? But when I took the time to understand trauma, because this is the thing, we do not consider the magnitude and the depth of the trauma that our loved ones who have been justice impacted have experienced. And I'm not just talking about incarceration trauma. I'm talking about that pre-incarceration trauma that was never dealt with. Molested at 7, mom OD'd at 10, shot at 15, in and out of foster care, right? And then you go to prison. You got your strip searches, you got your violence, you got your stabbings, you got the killing, and then you come out. And then you got this alpha personality female. She wants you to adapt. She wants you to adjust because I waited. But let me ask you something. Let me ask the alpha personality female something. Have you taken the time to really understand and research what does that look like? 28 years in a cage. What does that look like? I did. Guilty. He said, you want to get married? Yeah. When? Tomorrow? Yeah. But I didn't take the time, although I had a laundry list of questions for Kevin. That was one question I did not ask. I did not say, how did prison affect you? And so we had that conversation not too long ago. And he said, Sheila, he said, I probably would have said it did. But it took me and him going through this, me doing some research, a lot of praying, and finding the psychological impact of incarceration by Dr. Craig Haney and Post Incarceration Syndrome by Terry Gorski, for us to get this language so that we can then understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it making sense a little bit?
No, well, definitely, because I'm very proactive. So I always want to pick these ladies' brains when their husbands come out, and it's so sad to say that the majority of them don't last. They don't last, and that's so heartbreaking for me. Because statistics are. That's why it's kind of like, if you have somebody while you're on the inside and that's supporting you through good times and bad times, most definitely stick it out. But especially the ones that come out who have nobody and immediately jump into a relationship and it goes haywire and it becomes drama and disastrous. And I'm like, you guys have no business falling in love. Take care of your necessity and then just focus on you. Focus on rehabilitating yourself because you're not done. So my question, Ms. Sheila, is what are some common symptoms of PICS that they can recognize or they can look out for? And what are some symptoms that family members on the outside should look for as well?
So within post-incarceration syndrome, there are 5 core components. Okay. So you have institutionalization. Okay. You have social sensory deprivation. You have antisocial traits. You have PTSD like symptoms. You have substance use, known as numbing, right? You want to quiet that noise in your head.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, one of the things that professionals and family members have a hard time understanding is why someone will start using after prison. They don't understand. They're trying to quiet that noise in their head. Mr. John Newton, he asked his wife to follow me on LinkedIn so that she could better understand him. He had been following me. She didn't understand why he started using, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the time she reached out to me, it was too late. He told her, he said that the 18 months that he was in solitary confinement, mentally he came unraveled. And so when he got out, he started using, and he OD'd.
Oh,
They found
no.
him deceased in his room at the boarding house, and he had been dead for 6 days. When they found him, it was just trying to quiet that noise, and she didn't have the language to interpret that pain.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of times we take it personally. If he shuts down, baby, look, if he shuts down, it could be that his nervous system is going haywire,
Mm.
anxiety, overwhelmed. So he may want to step away. He may want to breathe. He may want to be by himself for a minute. But we, as family members, because we don't have the language, we take it personal. He don't care about me. I thought it was gonna be all of this when he get home and da 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 da, and all he want to do, baby. Come on now, you have to really understand. And this is another thing. Okay, so the shutting down, social sensory deprivation. You take this man to a restaurant, y'all go out to eat, right? You go into a crowded restaurant. He really want to sit with his back against that wall so he can watch that door, so he can watch everything coming in. Because in prison, you watching your surrounding. You put that man in the middle of a crowded restaurant at a table. He's going to be so uncomfortable. His nervous system is going haywire because he cannot watch his surroundings,
Mm.
right? Another is the making choices. A lady said, she said, I'm so glad you came across my page. She said, because I have been beating my husband up about not being able to make basic decisions. And she said, I did not understand why. She said, I have to go and apologize to my husband. I said, ma'am, the majority of the decisions have been made for your husband. What time he coming out of that cell? What time he got to wake up for count? What time he going to chalk? So when he comes home, his decision-making ability is limited. It's limited. Like the man told me, he said, ma'am, he said, I had a meltdown in the store. He said, because I just wanted some coffee.
Mm.
He said, I found the coffee aisle. There were so many brands and flavors and colors and all. He said, I had a meltdown in the store and all I wanted was a can of coffee, right? Another gentleman told me, he said, I went in shutting all of the emotional stuff down. So a lot of times, women in intimate relationships, they're like, he's not affectionate. He don't act like he don't care, whatever. Let me tell you something. So there is emotional suppression, emotional dysregulation. He had to shut that down, baby, to survive. He couldn't be around there being all vulnerable and all of this right here. People gonna think he weak.
Mm-hmm.
So just because he comes out that back gate, yes, he loves you. Yes, he loves you. May be attracted to you physically, but the emotional aspect has not come back yet, right? A gentleman called me. He said, ma'am, he said, I need your help. He said, I don't feel nothing. I don't feel nothing. He said, and my girl thinks it's her. And I've had several men to tell me that. My girl thinks it's her, but I know it's me, right? Having to suppress those emotions for years and decades. These are things we don't consider. And I said that this morning as I was having a conversation with myself. I'm saying this to women. When you think that this man has to function normally because you waited, you're being selfish. You're being very selfish. And I tell family members, you have no idea what your loved ones have been through, because they ain't gonna tell you everything. But these individuals have been through some stuff. One of my very first mentees, he did 40 years. He wasn't expected to come out. He had 2 life sentences here in Texas. He said they came to his cell one day and say, hey, get your stuff together. You're making chain in the morning. Going to a pre-release unit. Went right there in Rochelle, Texas.
Oh.
And he had such a hard time reintegrating. And the first thing I do when someone contacts me, and if I have the funds for therapy, we're going to therapy if you want to go to therapy. Well, I asked him, and he said, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm thinking, okay, 40 years is a long time. And so about 3 months later, we were meeting every Friday. About 3 months later, he reached out and he said, Miss Bruno, I need to go talk to somebody. And I said, yeah. I say, would you like to share? He said, Miss Bruno, I'm having nightmares. He said, when I was inside, I saw somebody get their head cut off. And now I'm having nightmares. So that's why I say you never know what your family members been through. Now let me say this. Now, do they get a pass for bad behavior? Absolutely not. Responsibility and accountability can exist at the same time. Nobody gets a pass for bad behavior, because my mental health matters too. My mental health is a priority. I'm a support, but I'm not going to self-sabotage. So this is why we need shared language, so both parties can feel seen, heard, and understood.
Definitely.
Yeah.
When I came across your TikTok and you were talking about PICS, and I'm like, what is this? I had no idea what it was. And then I saw your handle and I was like, okay, now I know why this comes, because whatever relates to your life, it usually comes up on your feed. So I sat there and I listened, and then I'm looking more and more, and I'm like, and then I Googled, and I have to be honest with you, I've never heard of it if it wasn't for you. So my question to you, Ms. Sheila, is why isn't PICS talked about more on the mainstream reentry conversation? Because to me, reentry is not only on preparing yourself, in a trade or vocation or education, job-wise, how to be successful out here, but this has a lot to do with reducing the rate of recidivism as well. So my question is, why isn't this talked about more?
And it's such a wonderful question. Thank you so much. And I have to be honest, like when I started, I couldn't believe that this is not the top 5 topics at the reentry conferences. Why aren't anybody talking about this? And I tell you why. It's because it's so easy to put it in a category with PTSD, and we don't have to deal with the reality of what prison has done to a person. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's also because people don't want to take the time to do the research and to understand the difference. I mentioned Terry Gorski.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Gorski is the first individual who he coined the phrase post incarceration syndrome because he was working with individuals who had come home from prison, right?
Mm-hmm.
He saw that what he saw, it did not fit fully into PTSD or adjustment disorder. What Mr. Gorski saw was survival adaptations, right? And then there were other researchers like Craig Haney. Craig Haney is a psychologist who goes inside of the prisons
Mm-hmm.
and he's allowed to evaluate to see if someone is to stand trial. So he started seeing the behaviors. So me, and this is a God thing, Sheila Bruno started to study, and what I was witnessing is what I was studying, and what I was witnessing had name to it. I just started talking. And you know who resonated? Family members. They, had I known this, maybe me and my husband would still be together. The first time when I found out about post incarceration syndrome and I needed support for me, I went to Google support for incarcerated loved ones who have been family members been incarcerated. Nothing. So I went to Facebook. Wasn't no big booker, wasn't a fan of Facebook. I Googled prison wives. And that's when I realized, I was like, it is hundreds of groups out here. There has to be a prison wife group for every prison in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so I joined 26 groups, over 26,000 people. And I went into those groups and I keyed in, have you heard of post incarceration syndrome? And I went back in a couple of days. I didn't have not one yes. Everything was no. What is it? I went to Kevin and I say, we need to talk about it. And him being the amazing human being that he is, he said, absolutely. We did that video. I posted in the groups, and that's when the cries start coming, right? It was like for the first 3 years, I was on an island by myself. Hey, prison got side effects. Hey, prison got, but I want to hear it. It was in year 4 that the reentry professionals and correctionals, they started listening. They saw my consistency. They saw their program participant recycling in and out. So I have to say that from 2016, this is when I started, to now, people are leaning in. They're really leaning in. I've had the opportunity to speak virtually, DOC, Memphis.
Yes.
Also in California.
Wonderful.
They leaning in. And when individuals ask me, because it is organizations such as yours that have connections for the inside.
Yes.
When they invite me to speak, I say, okay, you already know. I ain't coming to play. I ain't coming to tiptoe, right? So you know what my message is about. And they was like, Sheila, come on in. Come on in. Now, another thing, here in Texas, baby, people have been really trying to get me to reach out to Texas. But other states are leaning into this conversation about post incarceration syndrome. So we're getting there. We're definitely making, but I have felt like I was on an island by myself. And this is why I have created the programs. That's why I do my lunch and learns every Wednesday to help people get the language. And my workshop on this Saturday, it was actually 2 DOC correctional officers that attended the lunch and learn, and they have presented this to DOC. And so they said, okay, they said, yes, we can attend the lunch and learn, they'll pay for it. And then they're going to start having the conversations on the inside. Why not? Why not? But one of the things I realized in the beginning, I was saying the psychological impact of incarceration, and it was just like, Sheila, ain't nobody gonna let you come in there talking about no psychological impact of incarceration. You got to tone that down, boo. And when I started saying understanding post incarceration syndrome, right, and tying it back to reentry, that's good. They'll listen in. But if you honestly, you're talking about psychological impact of incarceration and all those what they call them, I don't like to call them jailhouse or prison attorneys in there. They know they're gonna have some suits. They know they're gonna have some lies.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a liability.
Definitely.
Yeah. So to answer your question, it's because a lot of people lack understanding. I have taken the time to dial this thing back, to peel it back, to speak with those who are coming home. I surround myself with the experts, and the experts are the people who have done the time. You can't talk to me if you ain't done the kind of time. You can't. And this is another thing, is the reason why, sometimes I decline offers to speak, right? Because you got a 3-day conference, but we only going to talk about mental health for 30 minutes. And you don't even invite the family members to the table. You don't even give the family members a mic at the podium to learn about their experience. If you want to know how someone is reintegrated, ask the families. Don't ask this person that don't even know him, how is he reintegrated? Ask the family members. And yet you don't even want to give them a podium. You don't even want to give them a table at the conference. Come on now.
My wheels are turning right now, Miss Sheila. I'm on a mission now. I'm on a mission to get you in Texas. I'm trying to think, but I'm going to figure it out. Where there's a will, there's a way. Best believe. And I really believe that this is very important. Which leads to my next question: is institutionalization is such a nobody talks about institutionalization. So my question is, how does institutionalization affect their decision making and relationships after release?
So you're right. Institutionalization is one of those words that has been thrown around for years. Institutionalization, like I didn't even know what you're talking about. And a lot of us don't. We want to put institutionalization in just this one category, this one section. But it is when someone has adapted so deeply to prison routines that the outside world feels foreign, right? Says the wife who told me, I wake up and my husband, he free. He is standing at the bedroom door at 4 o'clock in the morning. What is he standing there for? Count time. He's free. He's free. But his nervous system is still, you still have that prison institutionalization that you wake up and you're standing at your bedroom door for count, right? Institutionalization. A gentleman reached out, Washington, D.C. He said, sis, he said, keep talking about this. He said, I did 21 years. He said, I'm so messed up. I've been home 9 months and my wife has filed for divorce. He said, I'm so institutionalized that I recreated my cell in our living room. And when my wife will ask me to move certain things, that's when that aggression kicks in, because he had to live in this aggressive state for 20-some years. So nobody would take advantage of him. So they didn't turn off just because he's talking to his wife. Right? So he says, keep talking about this. Another institutionalization is a lot of times we don't understand what to say and what not to say to an individual, to our loved ones. We think it's a jokey joke. Yeah.
Even sense of humor, sense of humor, even today, when he's inside, I can be very funny and I'll say a joke and he's just like, and I'm like, why are you quiet? Are you serious? No, I'm just kidding, It's that awkward moment. And I'm like, man, I'm just kidding. Or he'll get up. Are you upset? No, I'm just playing around. It's okay. But there's that awkward stage,
Yeah. I mean, when I say shared language, and it has to be shared language, you have to understand the language. He has to understand. And the thing about it, and the beautiful thing about TikTok, I never wanted to get in those TikTok streets. Baby, you say TikTok and I would be scared. No, they will never eat me up out there. But I decided to do a video. 5 ways that prison changes people, but not how you think. That's it. That's all. And it has been shared over 6,300 times. And so when people just started saying, thank you for clarity. And one man said, and this institutionalization, he said, I did 30 years and I've been out 10. He said, because of PICS, I haven't spoken to my daughter in 4 years. He said, I sent her your video and she called me and we cried together. He didn't have the language. She didn't have the language, right? Perhaps he was dealing with the social sensory deprivation. Perhaps he was dealing with the antisocial personality trait. Perhaps he was dealing with institutionalization. She didn't have the language. All she know, my daddy cold, my daddy disrespecting, my daddy don't understand, da. But when she saw the video, it made sense. And that's what I'm saying. We just need to provide them with language. Language is free. Right? A language, you give them language, and then they can make an informed decision whether I'm going to seek treatment or I'm going to start doing the inner work myself, which you can do. But give them language. And another thing, I'm going to backdoor this to relationship. Capacity. He might have went in when he was 15 and 17. He never really had a adult relationship. So does he really have the capacity to deal with all that comes with this, the responsibility? Because there's going to be some level of arrested development right there. The interruption, because he was incarcerated during those formative years.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So a lady said, baby, it's just like I got another child.
Mm.
He went in when he was 17 and he came out when he was 47. She said, all he wanted to do is sit on the couch and watch TV. And I'm going to tell you something. Some come home and there's a fear of freedom. I can't tell you the number of times I've gotten those calls that say, Miss Bruno, I want to go back.
Mm.
So, Miss Bruno, I want to go back. I can do prison all day long, but this is hard out here. And we expect for people to live like that for decades and then come out, maintain routines, responsible for this, compliance. And this is the thing with the parole and probation. You're enforcing compliance, but do you know the level of capacity? Can he even handle that? But everybody is enforcing compliance without gauging or assessing capacity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was, I spoke virtually DOC, Las Vegas, inside the Las Vegas prison. I'm just telling everything about Post Incarceration Syndrome. A gentleman walks up to the microphone and he says, I tried therapy. What's the solution? And so this was back when I was still green and forming it and getting it all together, right? The only answer I had for him was therapy, right? And he nodded politely and he walked away. But it was the way he walked away. He walked away like he was more defeated than he was when he came. And I got off of that live and I cried because I realized something very hard. I had spent an entire hour talking about the problem. And I wasn't able to articulate clearly a way forward. And that's why I say nobody would ever ask me that again and I not have an answer. So I developed what's called the H3 framework. It's the head, the heart, and the hands, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of times, most people coming out, they want to jump with the hands. Let's get the job. Let's fix the relationship. But what about the head? You're going to have to retrain your brain that has been conditioned for survival. Your heart, you're going to have to get your emotions regulated again. If not, this is causing a lot of divorces because he's not feeling anything. But we have to have them to understand it's safe. You okay now. You can feel safe out here, right? They don't trust nobody. They don't trust nobody. Inside, trust can get you hurt, right? So I developed that framework, the head, heart, hand, and I am the result of that. Many of my clients are the result of that, having taught, because a lot of times, like I said, we wanna just get them a job. We want them to fill out this application, this 3-page application online, and he ain't never fill out a turn on a computer. So we're not assessing capacity before we are enforcing compliance. One of the workshops I did here in Houston at a parole office. And afterwards, the parole supervisor, and this story just really gets me. The parole supervisor, she asked if she could speak to me privately across the hall. And I'm thinking, okay, Sheila passion and said something you weren't supposed to say. But within minutes of getting in that room, she burst into tears. She said, "You just told my story." She said, "My husband was in prison for 19 years, and I'm seriously considering divorce." She said, "All makes sense." And she said, "I've never heard of post incarceration syndrome before." And here it is. She enforces compliance for a living. She has the hand in helping people to successfully reintegrate back into society. And she had never heard of post incarceration syndrome before. So, this is why this is a conversation. Nobody gets excluded from this conversation.
Wonderful.
To include the children.
Definitely.
Yeah. Because the children need to understand that nothing's wrong with them when daddy shuts down or mama shuts down. And this is why I created that ebook back there for children, so that the caregivers can help them to understand what they're seeing when they come home, and they don't take it personal like my mom don't love me or my dad doesn't love me. We have to let them know that they have been in a place. They have been in a very, very bad place where it wasn't safe to feel, or they didn't feel safe. So when they come out, they may act a little different, but they do love you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Shifting a little bit into the elephant in the room, I would like to say relationships. Why do some returning citizens struggle with intimacy or the emotional vulnerability side?
You want it raw, or you want it how you want it?
Raw.
You want it raw, you just want it. You just there. Because look, I'm trying to tell you. So that's the question I get all the time. Because you think you finna get it in, it's finna be breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it is twice a year. Right? So, and this is something I got from the experts, people who done been there, right? So I remember early on, I would meet with individuals. I set up meeting with them. I'm finna pick your brain. You finna tell me everything. And so I met with two gentlemen who had did long sentences. And as I was leaving the meeting, one of them ran behind me. "Hey, Miss Bruno." I said, "Yeah." "Tell them women in your group that they man might be dealing with prostitutes." I'm like, where that come from? Girl, 2 weeks later, I had two women to tell me that they found out that their husbands were dealing with prostitutes. So I went back to the experts. Say, man, these ladies say their husbands. Say, look, Miss Sheila, let me tell you something. They said they was behind that wall talking about everything they gonna do to you. They gonna hang you from the chandelier, and they gonna do this, that, and other. And when they get home, they have performance anxiety. And the prostitute don't know them.
Oh.
Okay,
that makes sense.
That was one, right?
Yeah.
Another one told me, "Man, let me tell you something. I've been getting it high. I've been getting it for all these years. A magazine in the prison is high commodity. Buy a $200 magazine, you're gonna satisfy yourself. So I was used to getting off by looking at a piece of paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
A wife told me they had just finished being intimate, and she got up to go to the restroom, and she came back, and her husband was pleasing himself, and she felt like some kind of way, like, and he told her, "You get it how you get it, and I have to get it how I'm used to getting it."
Ooh.
Yeah. And this is the big elephant in the room. Some of them have been in there for decades
Mm-hmm.
and have never been with a woman.
That's true.
They've been with men.
Mm-hmm.
So they get more satisfaction. For men, I saw a video that a man say, "I miss booty." He married. He said, "But I miss booty." He said, "I would do anything for some booty."
Oh Lord.
So this was I'm saying, man. It ain't cute. It ain't pretty. It's not. And I did start with this disclaimer that I usually start with, like, prison is not a one size fits all experience. Every person's journey is unique. So what I share comes from patterns and stories and live proximity, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you what, last one citizen said, he said, "Can you stand in the rain and not get wet?" Right? Can I set a coal of fire on your lap and you not get burned? So what I'm saying is that, there are some, not my man club, not my man. Oh, my man read 1,000 books. Okay. He's intellectually sharp, but tell me about his emotions that have been suppressed for years.
Mm-hmm.
So we as women, I had a lady in my group. So when I first started that and I created what I needed, I created a private Facebook group for women, 1,500 women. There was this one lady, she was faithful in that group. Her guy was getting out after, I want to say 13, 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
He could not parole to where she lived, her state. So she quit her job. She put a house up for rent. She moved to where he was. So I was like, well, she gonna reach out and let us know how it's going. I ain't gonna say nothing. 72 hours. "Miss Sheila, PICS is real."
Wow.
She said, "I don't know what I'm gonna do." She said, "He done told me to get out. I quit my job." She said he was so OCDC or OCD that everything. She said, "I've quit my job. I've rented out my house." And she said, "Miss Sheila, I have to be honest with you." She said, "I've been in your group for years and I didn't believe you."
Mm.
I'm like, look, I'm introvert. I'm not talking just to give my mouth something to do. I'm sounding the alarm. This is what I needed and I didn't have it. And when I created it, I found out the thousands and hundreds. Like the lady said, "Oh my God, had I known this, maybe my husband would still be alive."
Yeah.
3 days after he came home, he committed suicide.
Mm.
And they were asking, "What happened in 3 days? What happened?" Wrong question. I mean, think thank you for just letting me lean in and leaning into this conversation. So I want people to understand trauma. So this young guy gets raped in the shower. Nobody comes to his aid, not even the CO. He comes out bleeding. They take him to medic for a whole month. And they bring him back to the same pod. Trauma. And then we expect, because we waited, for him to function normally. So I say that to say this. No, ain't no telling what happened inside that this man couldn't live with that caused him to take his life 3 days after he got home.
Yeah.
There's so many stories about suicide. Just the other day, the wife sent me a message. My husband did 20 years. We're now separated. She said, I'm so glad I found your information. She said, I understand now. She said, my husband's friends that he has done time with, she said, many of them are back inside, or many have committed suicide. And we ain't talking about this. Shh. So for a long time, I stayed out there and I tiptoed. I don't tiptoe no more. You're going to take it or you're going to leave it. I don't care if you say this is just a PTSD. Okay, that's on you. I know it ain't. I know it's not. So I tell them like this. I used to try to convince you. I don't convince no more. I convey it. You either take it or you don't take it. Check the receipts on TikTok. That's receipts right there. You go through some of them comments. Yeah,
it's never ending.
Yeah. And I use TikTok. That is a learning hub. It's intentional.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, that's intentional right there.
Yeah, definitely.
So that people can understand. Everything I do it intentionally. I create what I did not have. And people say, how can you still? And I got divorced 7 years. How could you forgive him? Understand it? Because I had to look at the part I played at. Hey, the man told you day one he had been in prison for 28 years. You didn't stop and say, what does that look like? So what part you played in it? It ain't all on him. And then when I started studying trauma and understanding what trauma does to the brain and what incarceration does to the brain, it wasn't my call to say, man, that happened when you was a child. Get over that. That ain't my call.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why a lot of women, I hear them say, that was happening way back then. Look here, you don't know how that impacted him. Right? You don't know how that impacted that man. Kevin shared some things with me he had never shared with anybody. And I was like, ooh, don't tell me no more. Some experiences, the trauma experiences on the inside. Friend being stabbed 58 times. You didn't know it was your friend. You was just trying to get back to your cell. You get to your cell, you sit down, you see blood on your shoe. Somebody, they come back and tell you that's your homeboy. Come on now.
Yeah. Can PICS be healed, or Absolutely. Is it something someone just learns to manage?
Growth. There is post-incarceration growth. And that's why, again, I teach the H3 framework. You have to be willing to do the work. We do the head. We're going to have to retrain that brain from what the prison conditions created. The heart, that emotional regulation, right? Mm-hmm. Have to let them know it's okay to heal again. And then the hands last, You matter, your life matter, you have a purpose, and you can contribute to this world. Yeah. Yeah, it's post incarceration growth. But the thing about it is, we ain't touch on this.
Mm-mm.
When I talked about the 3D plus the V experience, the pre incarcerate, I probably jumped around. But the pre incarceration trauma, the incarceration trauma, the post incarceration trauma, and then the vicarious trauma, that's us. I had never seen a therapist until I got married to Kevin Bruno. Right? Mm-hmm. We're so focused is on them. They're the ones with all the problems. They got all the problems because they've been to prison. Check your bank. Check your trauma bank. Right? And a lot of times we put so much focus on them that we forget about us till we lose ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
But let me tell you something. Their trauma becomes your trauma. Yeah. You laying up at work. You ain't heard from him in 3 days. You ain't heard from something ain't right. So you worried. They ain't telling you nothing down there. That's vicarious trauma. You get anxiety attacks and panic attacks because you haven't heard from or whatever. You worrying about their safety. 4 or 5 men got killed this week, whatever. Come on now. We got to think. How could this not affect us, and how could this not be a topic in reentry? I'm cool with the marriage seminars. I'm cool with all of that. I'm cool with the Christian programs and going in there. You talking about Adam and Eve or whatever, but you need to talk about some Sheilas and some Kevins. Let's talk real. Let's have some real conversations here because I am a believer myself. Kevin is a believer, but it did not stop the effects of prison from coming into my house. I quote scriptures. Yes, I do. So these are the type of real conversations that we need on the inside. If you want to talk about marriage counseling, okay, let's talk about why he gonna lay in that bed with her, but he may not touch her. She gonna start feeling some kind of way. She gonna take it personal, not realizing the social sensory deprivation. He has been in solitary confinement for years or for months without touching anybody. This lady told me, she said, my husband has been home for 3 years. We still haven't consummated our marriage. He sleeps on the sofa. She sleeps in the bedroom because he told her, baby, I'm scared of what I might do to you if you touch me in the middle of the night. A lady wakes up. She was wondering why her husband always sleep like this with the pillow. He go to the restroom. She look under the pillow. He got a homemade shake.
Oh, gosh.
Let's talk real. If we're going to talk about real, let's talk real, right? Let's talk real stuff. Someone told me one time, Sheila, your content is raw. I said, I match the energy of reentry. Yeah, I match that energy. The part nobody want to talk about. Somebody got to talk about it. If we're going to talk about let's talk about real reentry. I apologize.
No, Michelle, I'm loving it. You know what? I think we may need to do a part 2. Let me tell you, but no, don't apologize because this is what I wanted. I mean, I think this is what is absolutely needed, and I thank you so much for this. My question is, what message would you give someone currently incarcerated about life after release? Because I know a lot of the guys, they're getting ready for reentry. Some of them aren't really education friendly. That's not their thing. They're the hardware, and that's okay. I'm all for education, but they want to work, they can work, or they're going to go work out and they're going to get all buff so they can get ready to come out. What message do you give someone currently incarcerated about life after release? Because there's more than that.
Release is not a reset. You're going to have to build some things that have never been built before, or you're going to have to rebuild some things. I see it all the time when people come out, and the thing about it is, and I ask people when they go to prison, come out, how did you survive prison?
Yeah.
And that's what I asked Kevin. He said, I had to become a monster, Sheila. He said, I had to become a monster because I was terrified. And I became that person, that dude, so that I wouldn't get taken advantage of.
Mm.
Right? So you wear that mask of a monster for decades. Just because you come out that back gate. You could have done some work. You could have done some work on yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that dude is still there somewhere. And so then when you come out, you got to don another mask for society so you won't feel shame. So now you really got on two masks. You got the one that you had to become, and then you got this other one over here you had to don for society. They're going to get heavy. And when they get heavy, they're going to slip off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened in my marriage. He was doing everything to please Sheila. He was doing everything to please Sheila. And those masks got heavy.
Yeah.
So I really want people to understand that release is not a reset, babe. I had somebody tell me, oh, Miss, you've been gone 39 years. Oh, Miss Sheila, I thought you said this ain't nothing, you know. Well, when I met him on the inside, I said, Miss, I'm scared. I never had responsibilities before, and I hear you talk about responsibility. So he said, man, I'm almost thinking like I want to violate or do something so I can stay back. I said, you come out that back gate, I got you. I bet I got you. He came out, oh, Miss Bruno, I thought you said this going to be something, this thing, I got this, I got that. 6 months later. And we talk every week, right? We doing Zoom class every Friday. 6 months. Miss Bruno, I gotta tell you something. Oh, it ain't as easy as you was telling me. Yeah, because that mask, that freedom high is what I call it. That freedom high came down. Reality kicked in. Yeah, you got all these responsibilities. You got to pay some bills. You got to swallow some stuff when your boss holler at you. Whereas if you was inside, somebody holler at you, that's a problem. Disrespect. Yeah. Yeah. Women. Yeah. Yeah. So you can come out here and think you can Cadillac if you want to, but it ain't no walk in the park. It ain't.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If you can change, Miss Sheila, one thing about how society handles reentry, what would that be?
Man, look at here. They need to put me up in there, because I would tell them everybody that's coming out of there is going to go through some type of PICS informed education. Before, in those pre-release units, yeah, you're going to have a PICS informed education class. We just ain't going to be talking about coping skills. We're going to talk about what prison has done to your head. But let me tell you a beautiful thing. I got an email from an educator, and I want to say she's in a prison in Huntsville. She's teaching a prison in Huntsville. And she said she was online. She was looking for something because she teaches at a pre-release unit. She was looking for something more than the basic stuff that they get, motivated, She knew that they needed something. And she said, I found your book, The Second Sentence. And
you want to show everybody your book? Show everybody your book there?
Yeah. So she said, I found your book, The Second Sentence. And so now she's teaching Don't y'all look at my nail, I need a refill. She's she is teaching she's teaching this in her pre-release class. Another prison, I can't think of where they are. They are also teaching. They bought copies for the guys in the pre-release unit, and the beautiful thing about this, it was the counselor who said yes. She said, I'm going to use this in group, and I'm going to also use this one-on-one. Right? Because the thing about the second sentence, and I just skip all around, Tatiana, look, I wrote the second sentence after I got on TikTok and saw that these people needed help.
Yeah.
They needed some language, right? So the TikTok, I love this. The second sentence is not a one and done, read front to the back. No. I'll tell you. You read this chapter. I got real life stories in here. Steps on healing. I have quizzes. Don't you go to this next chapter until you have successfully passed this quiz. Don't you move. I want you to sit with this. You have thought-provoking questions. Do the work. See yourself on the page, right? So the chapters here, I have a chapter. I have letters. I write them letters after each chapter. So you don't have to be ashamed. Come on, Sheila. What is post incarceration syndrome? When maturity stalls, that's that arrested development. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
You went in at 15, you come out at 47, and I'm thinking you finna be my man 100. I'm finna tell you when a maturity stalls, right? Rebuilding after trauma. Many of them don't even understand what they done been through. They don't understand, like mom OD'd at 10 and shot at 15. They don't understand that is packed and hasn't been unpacked.
Yeah.
When trauma transfers from them to you, vicarious trauma, suffering in silence because you're ashamed. You don't want to tell nobody. So what you gonna do? I'm just gonna end it all. The trigger effect. What's your triggers? Write them down. Every time you get triggered, write it down. You start looking at that list long enough. When that trigger comes, it's going to trigger to say, I ain't going to do that. That's a trap. The psychological impact of solitary confinement.
Ooh.
Your mental health matters. What would you do? Scenarios in here. I don't come to play with you. I don't want you to read. I want you to do the work. You got to do the work. Post-incarceration growth doesn't happen automatically. You have to be intentional. Just as intentional as you were about staying alive and surviving and doing those 15, 20 years, you have to be as intentional or as more so about recovery. Recovery is just not for addiction. Recovery is for incarceration. Come on now. And then if you don't know how to seek mental health support, I got you. I wrote this in 8 weeks because I got on TikTok.
Wow. We need to talk. I would love. I would assume that this isn't only for pre-release. It starts from
No.
the sooner the better. Even if you're
Absolutely.
like 10 years out, there's
yeah. Don't be trying to wait till you get to that gate. And that's what I
Exactly.
tell these ladies.
Yes.
I said, have you sent your loved one the book? He got 5 more years. Okay. You don't know what
I know.
it's a guy told me, he gave me the specific page. He said, and it was about trauma. He said, page 18 did it for me. He said, page 18 did it for me. I think it was talking about trauma. But yeah. And the lady that I was telling you about, that she was at the Lunch and Learn today, and her husband was listening in.
Yes.
She said, we on this book. She said, me and him we're reading this book.
Okay.
And we discuss it. Right? I wrote Wife After Prison, caught in the aftermath, while Kevin and I was still up in here doing this thing.
Yeah.
But I just wanted people to understand. So when I wrote this was, I discovered PICS.
Okay.
I defined the symptoms and the behavior in this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you have another one you said for children?
I have ebooks. I have how to talk to your loved one about Post Incarceration Syndrome. Okay. People don't know how. They don't know what to say. They don't have the language. I even have a template in here. Put his name on it. Dear so-and-so. Right?
Yes.
That's that one. Because people don't know how to talk to their loved ones about it. But my thing is this. Don't be trying to talk to them about this if you don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing more harm than good. You get the knowledge, and you know that you know before you start trying to enforce something on them. Doing time on the outside. Right? I believe in people doing the work. Mm-hmm. This is not only an ebook, but it's a workbook. So you family members can see yourself. Get with your girlfriends who have loved ones. You have a group. You don't just get in here and vent. You start doing the work. When someone you love come home from prison.
Okay.
For the babies.
Yes.
I asked one little boy, 7 years old, was he happy that his father was home? He said he's here, but he's really not here.
Man, please. Yeah.
Prison is a whole body disruption. So reentry has to be a whole body reconstruction. The whole family has to heal, right? Mm-hmm. The individual that just came, that's been incarceration, is not the only one with lived experience. It's the lady that reached out to me 2024, and they were looking for someone to speak at their second chance event. And so we were talking, and she said, I thought you had been to prison. Wife after prison, right? I said, I have not. And she said, we were looking for someone with lived experience. And I was in my bathroom, and my hand went up, and passion took over the conversation. And before it was all over, last year, I spent 2 days with them, 2.5 days with them, doing a workshop. Because I told her lived experience is just not the one definition of those who have been incarcerated. Lived experience is the wife who waited, the mother who cried and prayed, the children, anybody that has been in the trenches and is not just watching from the sidelines have lived experience. Yeah.
Wow. Ms. Sheila, I want to thank you so much for this time that you've dedicated to us and to everybody out there seeing us. If anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to write us at Texas Prisons Alliance, P.O. Box 1563, Pearland, Texas 77588. Any closing words?
Just get the language. It's so important. If you are supporting someone who has come home from prison, learn the language. You can best support your loved one when you understand what they're going through and you can interpret it, right? You can interpret the behavior instead of taking it personal. For me, I needed to know, what does that look like? So what I have done in my work, I have pulled it back, each of the core components, in such a simplistic manner that I can feed this to anybody and they'll get it. So it's so important that you learn the language, not just for them, but for yourself. So that way you will have a clear communication. Language bridges the gap. Family members, we cannot look at our loved ones as though they're the ones with all the problems because they've been to prison. Can't do it because we have our own skeletons in the closet, and the whole family needs to heal. But it's going to start with PICS education, PICS informed education. Highly recommend it. Definitely. Don't move forward without it. Highly recommend it.
Sheila, thank you so much. I know this will not be the last time. Thank you so much for joining us. And everybody have a great evening.
Bye-bye.